everyone. Welcome to Spotlight On. I'm Teresa Nash of Triple Arts Unlimited. That's performing arts, martial arts, and healing arts. I've recently become a certified community producer at MNN, Manhattan Neighborhood Network, and this is my very first show as a producer, so be kind. Seriously though, I'm blessed to have this opportunity, and it's opened up a whole new avenue for creativity. So in fulfilling my new adventures in the spotlight, I want to share experiences with you that have had meaningful impact on my life. And I hope that you find it entertaining and enriching. So now I want to turn the spotlight on the Urban Action Showcase and Expo and its founder and executive producer, Demetrius Angelo, who I've had the pleasure of working and training with at his NYC Action Actors Academy. I've learned hand-to-hand combat and weapons techniques for film, especially my favorite, the katana sword, which I learned for a role in his film Bounty Wars, an ASC Troopers Touch entertainment production. I have ongoing projects with him and his partner, Lamar J. Wingster, who continue to provide strong lead female roles in film. Now, the second annual Urban Action Showcase and Expo is coming on November 8th. It's going to be action-packed, and I want you to know all about it, so stay tuned. The Urban Action Showcase and Expo is becoming known as the East Coast Mecca for Action. So without further ado, I'd like to put the spotlight on the multifaceted and dynamic Mr. Demetrius Angelo. Demetrius, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you for coming. So can you please tell our audience just some about your background in martial arts and action film?
Sure. I started martial arts in the 70s. Like most young people in the 70s, we saw Bruce Lee on TV, you know, in between jumping on the bed. So I told my dad, you know, I wanted to do this. I was already playing football. I've been playing football since I was 4. So jumping on the bed, like, you know, I want to do this. So the next thing you know, we go to the community center, and what they had to offer in those days was Tang Soo Do, which is a Korean martial art. I guess for me, it wasn't enough contact, so I went back to football. So then, you know, things happen in life. You know, my parents got divorced, so around 10, the neighbor downstairs was studying martial arts, and, you know, I still always wanted to do it. So my mother, being a single parent, thought it would be a good idea to keep me out of the streets and start training again. And I started with something called the American Asian Combat System under Master Donald S. Batanga, Filipino out of the Batanga Islands. We started with the Okinawan Shorin Kobayashi style, and then incorporated jiu-jitsu, Largo de Malo Filipino stick fighting, Chinese boxing, what is it called? Chinese boxing, Western boxing, and then Kabuto, which was Okinawan Japanese weapons. Studied that for a while, got up to first degree black belt in that, and then in that style you had to be basically an adult, so you had to be 16. There were no junior status in my day. So you had to be 16, you had to fight adults, you had to be able to fight 10 adults with and without weapons, straight through, and you know, it was a great learning experience. And then in between that time, I moved to New York, and you know, went to college and so forth, and I was fortunate enough to train with a lot of well-known martial arts practitioners, Professor V, Professor Butte of the Aikido Jiu-Jitsu system, Professor V of the VR Nice Jiu-Jitsu system, Grandmaster David Jones of the Charismatic Touch Ryu, and then the traditional Wing Chun under Sifu Gary Young, which is under Grandmaster William Chun, who brought Bruce Lee to Yip Man. So fortunately, I had a lot of great heritage. I even got to train with Xi'an Iceman Andre Brown in the Wolf Fox system. And Ice, you know him most from Beast and The Last Dragon. Oh, wow. So, you know, one of my favorite films. I got a lot of I guess you could say, inside connection. And then, you know, I just kept it up. I've been training over 35 years now. I actually teach once a week, you know, because it's always each one, teach one. In order to progress, you must teach. And then through the martial arts, I developed, you know, I got into films. Fortunately, I was able to do some modeling. So back in the day, believe it or not, I was sort of like the Black Fabio. I was a romance novel. I have over like 12 book covers. You know, did some calendar modeling, but I also did action films in those days, in the early late 90s. And then I discovered that, you know what, Hollywood is not going to come looking for you. You know, you don't fit their stereotype. So I began to really study the art of action filmmaking. And then in about 2004, I hooked up with my dojo brother, Lamar Wingster of Troopers Touch Films, and we started to collaborate. I'm ASC Productions, he's Troopers Touch Films, and we started to collaborate as ASC Troopers Touch Entertainment. And you know, through my experience of being at HBO for 15 years, I've learned a lot when it comes to production and events and so forth. So I started to branch out on my own in this sense, and we've been going pretty strong ever since. You know, the action genre is a passion of mine. The funny thing about the action genre is that it's the least recognized, but it's the most popular. It's your blockbuster genre. You're not going to find a drama in a blockbuster.
That's true.
You know, it's your go-to genre, but you also won't get an Academy Award for it. So that's my basic beginnings in the martial arts and the film business.
Wow, that's quite a base.
You got to start. You got to start somewhere.
Yes, very diverse.
Thank you.
So, what led to you conceiving of the idea for this event, the Urban Action Showcase?
Basically, life. As I said, the action genre is the least recognized. So if it in general is the least recognized, recognizing the minority achievements or contribution in the genre is almost obsolete. So for many years, I've been planning a film festival. And then about 3 years ago, it took me 3 years to convince the Cinemax brand to get on board, but finally they did. The Urban Action Showcase and Expo is about celebrating diversity and honoring the past, present, and future minority and multicultural achievements within the action genre. And when we mention the action genre, that includes fantasy, adventure, sci-fi, and supernatural, because they're all aspects of the action genre. Even action comedy, such as Rush Hour or something like that. Anything action, we honor it. So basically, it's just seeing that we're under-recognized and we're underrepresented. In the 70s, we had some great heroes. And in fact, we're going to have one of those great heroes call in, Miss Gloria Hendry, the first black Bond woman. She's in Black Belt Jones with Jim Kelly, Hell Up in Harlem with Fred the Hammer Williamson. She's definitely one of the pioneers and icons of the action genre, along with Pam Grier, Tamara Dobbs, and you know the founders of action. We have Fred the Hammer Williamson, you know, the Richard Roundtrees, the Melvin Van Peebles, and so forth. So in the 70s, you had a plethora of action stars who actually motivated and I feel cultivated the era of the 70s. You know, empowered us. Think about what happened in the 70s, how we were empowered as a people, how we would march and how we would actually come together. But after the 70s, all of a sudden Hollywood put the brakes on. The last movie to come out of that era would be One Down, Two to Go from Fred the Hammer Williamson, which was part 2 of Three the Hard Way. Jim Brown, Fred the Hammer, Jim Kelly, the powerhouse action stars. So in the 80s, we were limited. We had 2 stars. One is the one that we're celebrating this year, Tamak of The Last Dragon, Berry Gordy's first and only action film, and it's a cult classic. After that, we had Action Jackson with Carl Weathers. That's the only representation we have in the 80s. We go into the 90s, we have Wesley Snipes, Passenger 57, and then we have Michael Jai White, who we've honored last year and we honored earlier this year with Spawn. Once again, 2 people. When you get into the 2000s, you'll begin to see, I guess you could say, more of an ambiguous representation of people of color. You're going to get into the Vin Diesels. You're going to get into the Rocks. Now, we all know they black, but most people see them, they don't know. Most people just see them as ambiguous. They can be anything. They, in quote, anyone can relate. But overall, I feel that everyone should have a reflection, a heroic reflection that they can relate to. So we believe in I guess you say, magnifying these images. And we believe that is very imperative for us to have heroic reflections of ourselves. Everyone should be able to look into the mirror and say, you know what? I see a hero. I don't see someone who's always getting shot or killed in the first 3 minutes of the film. I don't see someone that's always robbing the bank. I don't see someone who's always pushing the drugs. I don't see someone who's always the prostitute. I don't see someone who's always the battered wife or so forth. So we're trying to make these changes. We're trying to make these changes with the Urban Action Showcase. And I believe now we have one of the honorees of the Urban Action Showcase this year, which will be Miss Gloria Hendry. Yes. Gloria, how are you today?
Fine, and how are you?
I'm so well, and I am so excited to have you with us this evening. We're here in New York City on Spotlight with Teresa Nash, and we are just ecstatic to have one of the queens of action, one of the game changers, call in and give us a few moments of your time. We appreciate that.
Yes, thank you so much
for that incredible introduction. But who would have known, you know, as time goes by, what yesterday people are looking at it from another perspective as of today. It's just incredible.
Well, as you know, everything has a root and everything has a fruit. You are the root of action for us. You have the most significant, you broke the barriers. Let's talk about the James Bond. Let's talk about you being the first Bond woman, and also the one who broke the I guess racial barriers as far as interracial kisses and interracial I guess you can say relations on screen. Can you elaborate on that, Gloria?
I sure can. First of all, Roger Moore, who was the Saint at one time, he had a series, and it was incredible. He was very well known before he became James Bond. But we have a friendship, and believe it or not, I never thought about it. Believe it or not, I wasn't thinking about that as the person at the time. But at the same time, knowing the period that was happening, it was very well done. And matter of fact, what can I say? As I'm lying on top of him, kissing him, I purposely the night before ate a lot of garlic.
Was that on purpose?
It's done on purpose. And knowing that his wife is Italian, I ate a lot of garlic. So as I'm lying on top of him, just to get an effect from him, he said to me quietly, and no one heard it, "You lucky my wife is Italian." So we laughed. So that was our love scene.
Can we talk about the chemistry, your character in this film? Let's talk about, because this is an iconic character. There's comic book drawings of this character. Let's talk about the iconic character that you played in James Bond.
Well, Rosie Carver, first of all, as an actress, and you know, females, as far as the Bond movie is concerned, it's always the man winds up with the girl. And as I looked at the script, I went, oh, how can I pull this off? Walking both lines at the same time, trying to be a double agent at the same time, saying silly lines and trying to make them really real. So I'm looking at it from that perspective, not knowing how it would come across, but trying my darndest to get to the root and to the core of that character as much as possible with what I had. And if it read another way, great. It's wonderful that it's coming across in a positive sense.
Can we talk a little bit about the training? It was an action role. This is James Bond. This is 007. Did you have to go through any particular training? Because today, the actors that are doing their own fight scene, their own stunts, they're going through 8 months, 8 hours a day, 6 days a week of training. What kind of preparation did you have for this?
Well, prior to the Bond film, I did Black Belt Jones with Jim Kelly.
Nice.
So, and prior to that, as far as my life is concerned, I'm an amateur athlete. I swim, horseback, run backwards, run forward, climber, a fence climber. I played touch football, I played softball, basketball, ballet dancer, and lift weight, and tennis player. So with all of that, when they hired me for Black Belt Jones, I was pretty much doggone in shape. So they had us, Judy Pate was there, Vanessa McBee, etc., and Tamara Dobson. We were all there of that caliber. And they asked us to do a kick. And I was able to do a roundhouse without being trained and really land it.
Nice.
Oh, my God. With all this wonderful talent, I was hired. Now, after that, that was after Live and Let Die, but I was trying to give you a background on myself. So when I was hired for Live and Let Die, and during that period of time, there were no women of color that did stunts.
Right.
So
you're
even doing Black Belt Jones, I did wind up snatching a woman of color to do my stand-in, and that was due to Smith. He wonderfully started Bob Smith. I think it was Bob Smith. I forgot his first name, but I know it was Smith. And he started the Black Stuntmen's Association.
Nice.
But during Bond, because it was such an elaborate movie, they didn't need me to do that kind of action. So when I was tossed over, a somersault on the bed, believe it or not, because in Europe, at the Pinewood Studios, they didn't have a woman of color there. So they had a man, a smaller sized man of Caucasian, put on a white dress, and they literally blackened him.
Wow.
They colored his entire body, and his arms. So as he did the somersault, if you really look closely, you can see that hand on the gun. And when he took the cigar and put it out on my hand, you really have to look because it happens for a second and it's gone. That was not me.
Okay. Can we go back to Black Belt Jones? So did you just say you beat out Tamara Dobbs?
Of course I did.
You better work, Miss Hendry.
Well, I am. I'm still an athlete today. I still lift weights. I had gotten up to picking up 55 pounds in each hand and pushing up 150 pounds on dead weight.
Wow.
And running backwards and stair climbing 75 flights up without stopping and coming in first place in my age group. I'm still working out. So, yeah, and I'm a half marathon, almost a marathon runner. Couldn't quite make it during that time because my body said, heck no. But, yes, I did beat out them because I was stronger. As little as I am, I'm very strong. Well,
that's absolutely incredible. I want to talk a little bit about Jim Kelly. As you know, we have been honoring him since our beginnings, which was last year. Jim Kelly, as you know, we have been honoring him since our beginnings, which was last year. Jim Kelly, as you know, we have been honoring him since our beginnings, which was last year. Jim Kelly, as you know, we have been honoring him since our beginnings, which was last year. Jim Kelly, as you know, we have been honoring him since our beginnings, which was last year. Jim Kelly, as you know, we have been honoring him since our beginnings, which was last year. Jim Kelly, as you know, we have been honoring him since our beginnings, which was last year. Jim Kelly, as you know, we have been honoring him since our beginnings, which was last year. Jim Kelly, as you know, we have been honoring him since our beginnings, which was last year. Jim Kelly, as you know, we have been honoring him since our beginnings, which was last year. Jim Kelly, as you know, we have been honoring him since our beginnings, which was last year. Jim Kelly, as Jim Kelly is very much important part of the action genre as both people of color and as martial artists. He's one of the pioneers of action for us, and being a part of so many iconic films. Tell us a little bit about your experience with Jim Kelly, because as you know, we are going to screen Black Belt Jones this year in honor of Jim Kelly, in honor of you. Talk about your relationship a little bit with Jim and how he was, and you know, as far as him helping you through. You did some pretty incredible fight scenes, because I see the stills even online. So did he coach you through these things? How did that work out?
Well, Jim Kelly, first of all, I love him. He gave me so many positive things to think about as I was proceeding to do these performance of karate, and I learned it inside of 3 weeks, or 2 weeks with Bob Wall.
Nice.
Chuck Norris.
Uh-huh.
They trained me.
Nice.
And matter of fact, they were, for the audition process, preparing us to see who was able to hold that leg up, etc. But they prepared me, Chuck Norris at that time, and Bob Wall.
Wow.
And for 2 or 3 weeks. Now, on the set, wonderful Jim gave me great pointers, continuing to give me pointers on the set. And also the guys that, some of them are masters today, grandmasters.
Yes.
They allowed me to be able to roundhouse, hit them, and hit them. They could hit me, really hit them. I did. And those guys, all of those guys, just about every one of them were black belts at that time. And Jerry Smith, also, I continued training with him after Black Belt Jones was over, as well as Cliff Stewart. And he became my personal trainer after it was over. And then I also got involved with the first time they started having referee. I was one of the first female referees for kickboxing back in the 70s.
Wow.
We wore apparatuses on our hand. They wore apparatuses on their hands because they knew how deadly it was.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, on the set, Jim Kelly, was my buddy, and he kept me straight with running and making sure that giving me confidence, because that's execution on the set, and right there with him, and he would say to me, that was good, or that wasn't, you need to do this, and hold your hand here, and when you kick here. He was so great, and he scared. And when we ran around on that stand, that was real. Mm-hmm. You know how hard it is to run on sand?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So that was not a problem for me, and he did too, so we had a ball.
Wow. You have some incredible history. Many of the viewers might not know, Bob Wall is who fought Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon. And of course, Chuck Norris, everyone knows who Chuck Norris is. Yeah. So my question to you is, have you written a book yet?
Yes, I did. It's called Gloria Bond and all.
Oh.
I have it on Kindle,
on
Amazon.
Nice.
And I also have it in hard book, which is also on Amazon.
Wonderful.
Yes,
this is just
Gloria Bond and all. And I guess the best way to look it up is look up for my name, because I think I'm the only one that wrote something about myself, or maybe someone else has. But yes, it's an autobiography written by me.
Wonderful. Well, Miss Hendry, we are so grateful, so thankful for your time. I know you have other things to do this evening, and we appreciate you taking time out. We're very excited to have you at the Urban Action Showcase and Expo, where we will be honoring you with the Urban Fists of Legends Legacy Award this year. Prior to the only person that's received that award has been Fred the Hammer Williamson, which you starred in Hell Up in Harlem with. And
Black Caesar, which
yes.
is now a classic on Turner Classic Films.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
That was the first one I did with him, and Hell Up in Harlem is the sequel.
Oh, thank you. Didn't know that. Well, listeners, November 8th, Gloria Hendry will be at the Urban Action Showcase and Expo. She will be signing autographs. She will be there at the Black Belt Jones screening. She will also be there for the award show. So if you want to meet one of the icons and queens of action, you need to make sure that you go online, www.urbanactionshowcase.com, and register. Gloria, we are so thankful, so grateful for you, and can't wait to see you in November.
Yes.
Thank you ever so much, and I wish I can grab up all those women of color to come with me who also pioneered during that period of time, because there was a lot of trying to get them on the set. It was not easy, but it's wonderful, and they're carrying on today.
Well, there's an Urban Fist of Legends panel, and I'm sure we're going to ask you more questions in November. So save a little bit for the attendees.
I sure will. Thank you ever so much, and I'm honored. I really am, to be a part of the Urban Action Film Festival. Thank you ever so much for asking me.
Well, thank you, Miss Hendry.
Thank you for your time. Look forward to meeting you.
Same here.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
So that was incredible.
She's an amazing woman.
Did you hear the people that she trained with? Chuck Norris, Bob Wall, Jim Kelly, Fred Williamson, Roger Moore. I am so glad she wrote a book.
Yes.
So glad she wrote a book, and I will be, thank you. I will be getting that book.
Thank you for tuning in to Spotlight On, and thank you to our special guest caller, Ms. Gloria Hendry. You can get her autobiography in the Kindle edition on Amazon.com, and you can meet her in person at the Urban Action Showcase and Expo on November 8th. I'd like to thank my wonderful guest host, Mr. Demetrius Angelo. We're going to continue the conversations in Spotlight on the Urban Action Showcase and Expo Part 2, because we had so much to talk about, it wouldn't all fit into one. Just go to his website, www.urbanactionshowcase.com, to find out all the details about the amazing event, and we'll see you there. The music you're hearing is called Rise by Low Key of Power Mix Records. He tells me our friend Signature will be putting his vocals on this track soon, so I'm going to keep an ear out for that. In the meantime, here's what it inspired in me. Rise to your power, the Creator will shower you with blessings meant just for you. Step into your destiny, show up and the rest will be your unique gifts shining through. Rise to your power, now is the hour to turn the spotlight on you. I'm Teresa Nash. Stay blessed for success.